What's up everyone, the builds are back and we're kicking off today with my updated gaming PC featuring this stunning RTX 2080 Super Trio X from MSI. How's it going guys, it's Mark. I can't believe I'm back so soon after my last upload, long may it continue. So, I've updated my gaming PC for 2020 and I thought we could check it out today. For some reason I didn't switch out my case, I just have such love for the 570X from Corsair. I just can't let it go. What case are you currently rocking in 2020? Please let me know. Anyway, let's see what's been updated. First up, I went with MSI's RTX 2080 Super X Trio. That's a hell of a mouthful. A much more wallet friendly card compared to the 2080 Ti. Still very expensive of course, but at nearly half the price it's a far better option. Most of the time I play online competitive first person shooters, and running ultra settings like textures can make it harder to see people in game, so generally I run all of my settings on low apart from anti-aliasing. Plus, the higher your frames per second, the lower your input lag will be. Long story short, my system is CPU bound a lot of the time, so putting a 2080 Ti in my system is kind of pointless, and I wouldn't gain that much FPS at all with the $1,200 card. Don't get me wrong, it would be nice playing single player games on Ultra, but for the most part I just don't need it. Since updating my build, Wolfenstein Youngblood had a recent update adding ray trace reflections and DLSS. This is the first RTX game I've played that didn't seem to break my GPU, and FPS seems good and ray trace reflections deliver a nice effect throughout the game. Overclocking was a breeze on this 2080 Super. At stock the card boosts up to 1995 MHz, but upping the core I hit 2045 MHz pretty easy, all while running multiple benchmarks to see where the performance started to dip. Pushing the card any higher than that reduced the overall performance. An extra 70 MHz on the core was this card's sweet spot, with a whopping 2237 MHz overclock on the memory I was at, finally the card's limit. Temps were fairly good, a maximum of 75 degrees Celsius. My CPU I'm rocking is a trusty Intel i7 8700K, currently overclocked to 4.7 GHz. Cooling the chip is a white Corsair H100i RGB Platinum with two 120mm LL series fans, still my favourite out right now, and I decided to switch out my H150i with its massive 360mm rad that was originally installed at the front of my case. Although temps have now increased a fair amount on my CPU, it's hard to decide what orientation I prefer my radiator to be in, up top or front mounted. I believe most modern GPUs can handle heat very well due to their massive heat sinks and triple fan solutions. It depends on your goals. If you run games at ultra settings, mounting your rad up top would be ideal, but if your CPU is flat out all of the time from editing and CPU intensive games, front mounting the radiator could be the way to go. Moving on, in this 2020 build I went RGB mad, switching out the original special edition chrome Dom Plats I had for a 32GB RGB set. Once you have Corsair's IQ software installed, the effects are insane. It took me a while to come around to the Capellix LEDs, but now I love them. I must admit, normally I just keep my lighting on one single static colour, but once it's time to make a video however, I just let the effects rip. I have also added an Elgato 4K60 Pro capture card capable of recording, as the name suggests, 4K at 60 frames per second. This is a very expensive piece of kit, costing £245 UK and $295 US, but being a YouTuber it's a great device for capturing gameplay and even the system BIOS of builds I create for the channel, all in glorious 4K 60 FPS with a bitrate of 140 megabytes per second. I'm not really into consoles, but recording gameplay from them would be an absolute breeze with this device. I do feel for the price though, it should have came with a backplate and possibly some crazy RGB, since Elgato is now owned by Corsair. But first and foremost, this is a streaming device, and except no substitutes, the 4K60 turns any PC into a streaming monster. probably the best streaming device out, and since you're able to plug so many devices straight into it, heck, even a lot of mobile gamers use an Elgato to record their gameplay. Lastly, before we run some benchmarks, the power supply in this build is from Corsair, an RM750X in white, and I have a lot of love for Corsair power supplies as I've never had a problem with any of them, and I still have my 5-year-old 1200 watt beast that's still going strong. Finishing off the build, I also added a set of custom extension cables that really tidies everything up. Right, benchmarks. Let's see how well this system performs, including the card, the MSI RTX 2080 Super Trio X. I swear these names just get longer and longer every year. Hopefully it will be a worthwhile upgrade over my previous card. Let's compare them directly at 1440p and 4K. Okay, rounding off, I'm extremely happy with this build, although the performance isn't that much better compared to my previous system. So in that sense, I wouldn't recommend anyone switching from a 1080 Ti to even a 2080 Super. Prices just aren't coming down enough, unfortunately. Hopefully in 2020 Nvidia will release a new lineup of cards which in turn will slash the prices of this gen. As nice as RTX can be in games like Young Bloods, I feel like we're having to pay a premium, and I'm hoping for a separate non-RTX lineup this year. Anyway guys, I really hope you've enjoyed my updated PC build video. My name's Mark from Silence Tech, and I will hopefully see you next week around a Friday, same as today. Goodbye.